Spotlight is proudly sponsored by HEC Media, St. Louis's home for arts, education, and culture.
The whole spirit was to turn a day of tragedy into a day of service.
This is to make sure I'm around as long as I can be.
I really believe storytelling is fundamental to who we are as human beings.
Today on Spotlight, a group reminding you what happened the day after September 11th with a message of unity and service. Plus, it's the 30th season of the Shaw Art Fair. Find out what to expect at this year's show. And then a blood test that offers early detection of more than 50 types of cancer. But first, plunge into the depths of the ocean with a new book about the obsession to find the Titanic after it sank. It's Sunday and you're watching the multiple Emmy Award-winning Spotlight.
Ever since he was a kid, Daniel Stone has been living with that sinking feeling.
Wherever you are on Earth, you're never more than 2 miles from a shipwreck.
But it's a shipwreck 2 miles below the surface of the North Atlantic that intrigues him the most, and he's not alone. The story of the Titanic has been told and retold since the night it sank in 1912. But the tale rarely told is what happened after that night to remember, including the race to find the wreck, the harebrained schemes to raise it, and the difficulties inherent in finding anything below the surface of the seas.
It is easier to see and map the surface of Neptune and Pluto than it is to map the ocean floor.
In his new book, Sinkable, Daniel Stone, a former staff writer for National Geographic and a former White House correspondent for Newsweek and the Daily Beast, weaves a fascinating story of history and science, uncovering the untold story of the Titanic not as a ship, but as a shipwreck.
I would love to see it. I think of all the kind of cultural artifacts in the world, when you think of the pyramids and, King Tut and Machu Picchu, the Titanic really is one of them. And as long as it's still there, and it will be there for a while longer, it's one of the great wrecks of all time, and especially it's one of the great stories.
And you hit us right off the bat with this astounding figure of how many shipwrecks there are out there. You kind of toy this. Do you think there's 1,000? Do you think there's 5,000? What's the actual number?
I have asked this question to almost everyone I've met for several years, and everyone gets it wrong. We think of shipwrecks in kind of the big sense, the A-list celebrity shipwrecks, the Titanic, Lusitania, the Endurance, right? You and I could probably name a few dozen if we tried. But when you consider there are ships that have been used for entire human history all over the world as the only way to get around before the advent of planes and cars, the number's way bigger. According to UNESCO, it is 3 million shipwrecks in every ocean, lake, river, body of water on Earth.
And we're talking ships, not like some little fishing trawler that sank.
Ships, yeah. And UNESCO says that's a guess, and the number's probably a lot higher. And when you account for fishing trawlers and speedboats and day pontoons, the number could be as high as 30 million, but we don't know.
Well, there's all kinds of fascinating facts and figures in here, but it is a character-driven story. And you've got, I guess, 3 sort of main characters, and they are characters. How is it that the press just bought all the stuff that these guys said that, they were just making up out of whole cloth?
They wanted to. It was too good a story to think too critically about. The first character, as you mentioned, was right after the Titanic sank in 1914, an architect and mining engineer in Denver, of all places, landlocked Denver, has this grand plan to find and salvage the Titanic. And because he was a mining engineer, the press gave him the authority of saying he knew what he was talking about. Finding the ship by sending out electromagnets that would attract themselves to the hull of the Titanic and raise them up on giant winches. Anyone who knows anything about engineering knows that would never work for a number of reasons. But it was a salacious story. It was sensational, almost, to think of this famous wreck, all of these recently dead people, and a way to get it back. I mean, that alone, those elements worked. It worked half a century later again with Doug Woolley, the second character, who also has kind of a zany plan. He lives in London. He's never even been on a boat. And yet he becomes the guy who's going to kind of craft this narrative and this story and gets written up all over the world for his kind of zany ideas. And the third guy, briefly, was an oil prospector, Jack Grimm, in Texas, who went looking in 1980, and he came extremely close on account of having a lot of money. He rented a boat, he got a crew, he almost found it. And if not for a couple hundred feet being off course, he might have been the guy who found the Titanic.
To hear what NASA found in the ocean worth $13 million when they were searching for the Challenger wreckage, watch the full interview at hecmedia.org.
For original programming and award-winning content, explore hecmedia.org. Find all of your favorite genres, including the arts and sciences. Go in-depth with the latest research. Get insight into new technologies. Learn about breakthrough discoveries. Find it all in one place. Explore hecmedia.org.
Believe it or not, this is volunteer work.
The first shift, we had a couple dance parties that broke out.
The point is to have fun.
On a scale of 1 to 10 to 15.
And help others.
I'm surrounded by my coworkers, just helping the community. It's an awesome time.
Everyone can do something to do something for somebody else, and you can have fun while doing it. So that's what I love seeing.
This day is also a day of remembrance, a day to come together and be unified.
We're out here at the Chaffetz Arena to commemorate 9/11 Day with 911day.org.
9/11 Day was started by a group of 9/11 family members and friends who met to decide how to best pay tribute to their lost loved ones. They decided to turn 9/11 into a day of good deeds.
And the whole spirit was to turn a day of tragedy into a day of service.
Because I had some friends that passed away at 9/11, and I'm a Marine, so we give back.
We remember the spirit of 9/12/2001 and how everybody came together and everybody was friends, and this random acts of kindness kind of sparked.
The 9/11 Day organization hosted large-scale meal pack events in 11 cities across the country, including St. Louis.
So we're coming together with our wonderful partners and businesses across the bi-state region to pack 200,000 meals. We'll come back to the St. Louis Area Food Bank that we will be able to then distribute to our partner agencies. So think of your food pantries, your soup kitchens across the 26 counties that we serve.
The event begins with a special opening ceremony.
I want to thank you completely for volunteering with us on this very important day, the 21st anniversary of the 9/11 attacks.
Then we talk about that day very openly, and we talk about it through our first responders. So we have wonderful men and women here from the fire department, the police department, our EMS, to really remember the heroes that did so much that day and the days following, the heroes that continue to serve our communities.
The volunteers work near a tribute wall. The wall lists the names of everyone who lost their lives on 9/11.
We all knew that our lives were going to be different, but through that pain came incredible clarity, and through that suffering came incredible strength. And that is what I want people to remember, is the strength and resilience of our great nation.
Just being here and doing my part, that's what it's all about.
And then we ring a gong. And we get started and we start packing meals and having a lot of fun. We kick up the music. Everybody has a lot of fun ringing cowbells to celebrate every box that they get packed.
Today, the volunteers are assembling bags of oatmeal.
So the volunteers are coming together and they're putting the oats, the soy, the apples, the spices, everything together, package sealing that to make sure it stays fresh and stays locked. And then we're putting them in boxes that, again, will come to the food bank today and we'll start distributing them this week.
I am the oat girl. I'm the weigh station. Yes, I'm weighing the oatmeal.
9/11 Day, a federally recognized yearly event inspiring unity and millions of acts of kindness and service. For this is my country, to have and to hold, America, my home.
HEC Media. recognized, celebrated, honored time and again for excellence in the industry. HEC Media has been bringing home the hardware for over a decade. Arts and education to author talks, magazine shows and documentaries, individual craft achievements to overall excellence. Find all of the award-winning content at hecmedia.org.
This will be the 30th season for the historic Shaw Art Fair. And on these 2 blocks of Flora Place, the 41 and 4200 blocks of Flora Place, just east from the Missouri Botanical Garden, on October the 8th and 9th, we'll have 120 artists out here. There'll be food, there'll be music, there'll be some art activities for kids, there'll be some schools displays. So it's really going to be a jam-packed and fun, exciting time. One of the cool things about the fair is because we're in these 2 blocks of Flora Place, that's such a beautiful setting, number one. But secondarily, it's really a space that allows you to relax and enjoy what you're seeing, but also interact with the artist. So you can talk with the artist and spend time with them, finding out more about their work. Most of them are very happy to share what it is they do, how they do it. It makes for a wonderful visitor experience, and we hear that a lot from visitors, that they really like the ambiance of this space and how they can interact with the artist. And these are people from across the country. Many of them, although, are from the St. Louis region. In fact, we're getting more regional artists over the years, and that's kind of a shift for, I think, art fairs in general. So the fair offers a broad range of art. We've got printmaking, painting, ceramics, fiber art, sculpture, there's woodworking, and digital art, as well as mixed media art, and jewelry. So what you're going to find is something I think that suits everyone, frankly. So that's probably the main reason to come down here, is see the really great art. Now, the other amenities that we have live music both days, and we've got some exciting bands. A lot of this stuff will ultimately be at shawartfair.org as well. There's a list of artists already out there, and we'll have a list of bands. We also have a full food court with a beverage tent as well. And there'll be a combination of food trucks and actual tent vendor food as well. So some local restaurants are going to be involved, some catering folks will be involved. We have a children's area as well, so local schools will participate in that, showing work from their students, which is always a lot of fun. And again, the Historic Shaw Art Fair is October the 8th and 9th on the 41 and 4200 blocks of Flora Place, just east of the Missouri Botanical Garden. And for ticket information, please see shawartfair.org.
A song from the Arts and Faith Festival later on Spotlight.
Pancreatic cancer is one that you don't find out about it until it's too late.
As Nancy Dixon learned at a young age from the experience with her dad.
Death is always real.
Dixon is trying to do whatever she can to protect her daughter from the tragedy she had experienced.
He got pancreatic cancer when I was 14, and then he died when I was 16. And my daughter is older than I was, but she's young. And so this is to make sure I'm around as long as I can be.
That's why she's having her blood drawn.
Specific cancers that this test shows are really hard to detect, so that was critical.
Dixon wants to make sure she doesn't have pancreatic cancer or any type of cancer that isn't found until maybe it's too late. And she's confident the new Grail blood test will help her, at least give her peace of mind. Mercy is now proudly offering the multi-cancer early detection blood test that is capable of detecting more than 50 types of cancers. In clinical trials, the test demonstrated the ability to detect a shared signal from those cancers.
This blood test is a single blood test that looks for over 50 cancers, and so it looks for cancer markers in the bloodstream, and by analyzing that through advanced next generation sequencing where we can multiply that, we can find out the tumor source as well as if there's a cancer. The sensitivity and specificity of these tests varies based on cancer. It's very specific though. It's about 99.5% specific, meaning if you have a positive signal, you likely have a cancer that you don't know about yet. And so that's the goal of this, is to find those earlier.
Mercy is early among health systems to offer this first-of-its-kind test.
Through our research arm of Mercy, which we continue to do clinical research, We were one of the largest enrollers in the trial that brought this to market, this test. And so we've been involved with these type of tests for years.
Recommended cancer screenings in the U.S. currently cover only 5 types of cancer: breast, cervical, colon, lung, and prostate, and can screen just one at a time.
But the deep-seated cancers like pancreatic, esophageal, ovarian, those are often not detected till too late because there's no set screening for those. Our goal would be to detect these cancers before tumors outgrow where they start causing symptoms. So it could be months to years before that. But this is certainly the future of medicine, where we can detect cancers earlier, get people in for treatment and better outcomes and better life.
A prescription for the blood test is required. It's recommended for adults with an elevated risk for cancer, such as anyone age 50 or older. The Grail blood test is new and is not currently covered by insurance. It costs $949. Financial assistance through Mercy is available for those who qualify.
Obtain the test by just going to mercy.net and then clicking on multi-cancer early detection testing, and that kind of walks you through the steps. And we have a digital format where you can register and see if you're eligible, and then you'll get a phone call back from someone from our Center for Precision Medicine that can walk you through more details or provide you more information.
I think this is something my dad, 30-something years ago, I wish this had been available. And he might be here. And he might be here for my daughter. There's no 100%, but I'm at the age that my dad was already dead. And so if there is anything, then, then we can do something, be proactive. And I think it'll just give me some peace of mind.
For more information about stories about cancer research taking place in St. Louis, scan this QR code or visit hecmedia.org. Scan the QR code on your screen to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram.
Welcome to the Walls off Washington. Today is a remarkable day. We are celebrating a Mural Initiative, bringing over 20 artists from all over the world to the Walls in Midtown St. Louis. And today they have traveled back to cut the ribbon and to celebrate all together. So the purpose is really to have a backdrop of art that is accessible and made for people who wouldn't normally walk into a museum or a white cube gallery, but would really love something to be inspired, to get their brain flowing, to give them a little bit of a reprieve from the day-to-day, but also to acknowledge that mural work and graffiti in general is a pivotal American experience. We have found the perfect balance of both local and international stars.
When I spoke with Chris from Kranzberg's, he mentioned doing a mural that spoke to the community that used to be on this land and just acknowledging that people that used to live here don't live here anymore. So the main character, we just assume is a fictitious character that might have had a home here in this area. Talking about the dignity of him as a person, the musical heritage in this area. So you got a guitar player. On the left side, actually have like a file cabinet to acknowledge those who are allowed to get new homes and those who are denied new housing. So just try to play with all these kind of little things to give an idea of the feel. I appreciate them putting me up there because they wanted to make sure that they had some local artists next to some national artists. I've always loved murals, and I love that you're bringing color to the outdoor, and you don't have to go to a gallery or to a museum to see something beautiful.
My name is Jose Luis Vargas, and I did the mural I Am Not a Rumor. I was doing these different collages in my studio. The thing is that I wanted to do something in homage to the Pulp Fiction magazine covers from the 1930s, 40s, in which the illustrators of these stories were doing extraterrestrials that looked like plants. So the mural I did, the images are taken from anatomical animals, UFOs, and orchids. It's very nice to be able to be here in St. Louis because of the support that the arts and culture, the support is having from many institutions, especially the Kranzberg. That's what makes culture move on, and I see that happening in St. Louis.
We open on October 7th. We will have regular gallery hours so people can engage the work that is in the alley. But you can drive by at any time and see Kenny Scharf, Remix Uno, Nina Chanel Abney, Derek Adams. Wendy White, Samaya Saduth, Carlos Rolon from your car, so it's very easy to see. We'll never charge admission like other mural galleries in the world, so this is all about the work and lifting people up.
The Walls Off Washington will open for public viewing this Friday, October 7th. Visit grandcenter.org for more info.
HEC has been bringing you positive programming and award-winning content for decades. Arts, education, culture, in-depth discussions, films, and more. All in one place, hecmedia.org.
I do storytelling in all its forms. I really believe storytelling is fundamental to who we are as human beings. I see storytelling both as an art form and as a tool. I come from Jerusalem, I come from Israel, and I've grown up with a lot of wars and a lot of anxiety. So a lot of my work has evolved over the years as collecting stories around peace and creating stories on how to build bridges. I love to tell a lot of stories from my Jewish tradition, but also from traditions of other cultures. If it's a traditional story, it's either a story that I heard or it's a story that I found in some written form. So then I have to adapt it to my way of telling it, playing with it, imagining it, working with other storytellers. My process of inquiry is, how does this resonate for me and why? I don't choose a story just because it's a story. I choose a story because it speaks to me. And then it's like, okay, well, why is this speaking to me? And what is here of value to my listeners, and how can I make that relevant to them? And then, of course, there's stories that I write myself. A lot of time that starts with an impulse. It starts with a memory. It starts with an image. So that's a process of discovering the universal. And it's a process of crafting. It's a process of asking a lot of questions. It's a process of trying and failing and working on it. I think one of the things that I've learned in working on personal stories is that you really need to trust that things will come for you and not push them. A lot of times, if you're still in the story and it's raw, you don't know what the story is yet. A story is ready to be told when you can either laugh about it or cry about it, but not in a way that you'll collapse on the audience, in a way that they can laugh or cry with you. There's certain things that you feel. You feel if people are with you. You feel if people are imagining with you. The best indication for me is really when people come to talk to me afterwards and they start telling me their own stories. And then I know that my story reached the most important place that it has to reach. Your heart, your life. That's the biggest compliment. I'm at that exact intersection of all that I am and everything that I love, because I love performing and I love helping people and healing, and I love the power of religion and spirituality, and I love literature, and I love building community. And storytelling is like, it's like at the center of this crossroads. And all these roads of the things that I'm good at and the things that I love come to this one place. The storytelling that I engage in and that I feel has this power to connect in all these different applications is that ancient thing that humans have been doing since the beginning of time. And it is telling stories to create meaning, trying to make meaning of what it means to be human and why we're here.
The 2022 St. Louis Storytelling Festival takes place October 13th through the 22nd. Visit slcl.org for more info. You can find the stories featured in today's show along with past episodes and more at hecmedia.org/spotlight.
Sunlight hurts my eyes, and something without warning of that's heavy on my mind. Then I look at you, and the road's alright with me. Just Someone else instead of me always seems to know the way. Then I look at you, then I look at you, then I look at you, and the world's alright with me. Just one look at you, just one look at you, just one look at you, and I know it's not easy.
Next week, exploring the natural world through art. Plus, a page-turner about twisted marriages and deadly obsessions. Thanks for watching Spotlight. Join us next Sunday at 9:30 a.m. on KPLR 11.